Seems Spider-Carnage beat Spider-Man to Fisk and persuaded him to help take over, with Carnage pretending to be this universe's Spider-Man. Now, of course, this is just a deception. For Fisk. It's a deception on top of the deception. It's like, a parfait of deceptions here. But there's no way that Spider-Carnage is going to go through with that deal. He's made clear he wants to pay back the universe for wronging him, so he's not going to settle for being able to play Scrooge McDuck for real. Luckily, Gwen has figured out what's going on and saves Spider-Man, so he can rush down and bust in on Spider-Carnage during his speech. But Carnage is a rough enemy when there's a normal dude inside, never mind a genius superhero. So Spider-Carnage wins in the end, making off with Gwen as a hostage. Spidey pursues, but stops to think about this.
I'm forgetting everything that Madam Web taught me over all these months. Why isn't he trying to save my girlfriend? What's wrong with him?
Do you have any idea how much those implants cost? But it's finally sunk in that there's a reason this Spider-Man is the leader of the group. It's because, just like last week's MLP review, the way to win isn't to defeat, it's to get the adversary to realize that the evil plan itself needs to be stopped. This Spider-Man was chosen because he is the one who best understands mercy. So when the time comes to confront Spider-Carnage, he doesn't show up with some sonic cannon to blast him. He shows up with something much more powerful than that. Uncle Ben. The one from this reality, which makes sense. This Peter Parker said things always go right for him. He would never say that if Uncle Ben had died because of him. Even he's not that big of an asshole. So Uncle Ben touches the man behind the alien mask. And while he's unable to break the bond with the symbiote, this Peter is able to take enough control to activate the altered dimensional device to create a small portal to destroy himself and the Carnage symbiote forever. This does mean that the day is saved, though, and our Peter gets one last chance to be with his Uncle Ben. So, that is really one of the best rewards he could possibly get. But there's still more for him. The rest of the Spider-Men get to go home, but ours is going to accompany one of them back to their own dimension. Which one? The unpowered one. Because in this reality...
Excuse me, I'm looking for some guy named Stan Lee.
What?
That's right, the unpowered Spider-Man is actually Christopher Daniel Barnes, the actor who voices Spider-Man in the cartoon, wearing a Spider-Man costume. Now, they don't state that precisely, but it's the implication, given that he plays Spider-Man on television and his voice is identical to Peter Parker's, despite not being Peter Parker. So Spider-Man takes Stan on a web-slinging ride around the city before having a heart-to-heart to discuss, all things considered, my life has been pretty good.
Gee, you're definitely not the same guy I've been writing about all these years.
Well, Stan, we all have to grow up sometime, I suppose. Even us characters of fiction.
Apparently, Joe Quesada never saw this episode. Finding out that he's appreciated as a hero is uplifting for him, and he's especially happy because of what Madam Web has arrived to do. Take him to find Mary Jane. Unfortunately, since there were no more episodes, we just have to assume that it all worked out. There's a reason that he needs MJ, but that's a conversation for another time. And in any event, this story is great, packing a great deal into 2 episodes and managing, in the end, to cap his adventures with the acknowledgement that he has grown over the course of those adventures. The show still looks good for its age and has a healthy maturity to its storytelling. The only negative I can think of in the show is that the way they put the dialogue in sometimes, it clearly shows separated lines all being shoved together so that sometimes it can sound really unnatural. It's possibly a result of trying to put too much into the story at once. But this is a minor quibble, and I'd rather have that complaint than having to work all dumbed down and padded out. The storyline was also a shocking combination of the past with the future, as in things they couldn't possibly have known would one day happen. For instance, the billionaire Spider-Man was a fusion of the past, the spider armor that appeared in Web of Spider-Man 100, and the future. This is basically Peter's reality in House of M that wouldn't be made until 7 years later. A Spider-Man with Doc Ock arms eerily foreshadows the plotline of Superior Spider-Man. And that's not even considering well, no need to get ahead of myself. The show has a lot more to still offer, and it's a shame that the dangling plot thread was never resolved on screen. There is an account of what would happen on the web if you want to look. The show clearly had a lot of effort put in it to make it a mature, faithful account of Marvel's flagship character. Here's to you, Peter Parker, the Amazing Spider-Man.
All hail your